It is Sunday night. Dean Legge show here on YouTube, iTunes, Dawg Post, wherever you want to find us. I'm Dean Legge. We're going to talk about Georgia and Auburn right now. Number 5 Bulldogs facing off against number 12 or 13, whatever it is, Auburn Tigers. Always a tough place for Georgia to play. Always really a tough place for a lot of people to play. But this is a game Georgia should win. I'm going to get into that in a little bit here. The biggest thing, just still talking about last night a little bit, Georgia coming into that game with plenty on the line against Missouri. Same thing will happen this week against a solid Auburn team, a team that's playing for trying to avoid going to a bowl like the Citrus Bowl or whatever. I mean, Auburn still has plenty to play for as it relates to their bowl position, and they can figure out, if they beat Georgia and they beat Alabama. And they wind up 10-2, they would be the one in the position to go to the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl. So a lot on the line for Auburn for sure. Georgia about a 3-point favorite. The lines are a little bit, I think that line's going to move to anywhere from 5 or so. But I do think Georgia should win this game. There's a lot of reasons why, I think, but they basically come down to Auburn's matchup with Georgia is not ideal in this sense. The Auburn offense has not been what we've grown conditioned to being used to seeing from the Tigers. Gus Malzahn has certainly had some very good teams. I mean, they put up 40-something or 100, whatever it was, in 2017 and against Georgia and Auburn that day. But for the most part, Auburn against Georgia has been slowed down. Part of that's because, Georgia's a good team, and whenever you have good teams, they have good defenses, etc. It's a big game, blah, blah, blah. But, really, too, in this game, you've got Kirby and Gus Malzahn, and there's been times when Kirby has really shut Auburn down. In 2016, Auburn doesn't score a touchdown against Georgia and they upset top 10 Auburn in Athens. In 17, in the championship game, Auburn only scores a touchdown. That's it. In 2018, Auburn doesn't, I can't remember what the score was, but it was not a lot of offensive production from them. Obviously, if you want to keep going backwards in those games with Auburn and Alabama, there's not been a lot of times when Kirby's been the defensive coordinator and Malzahn has been the head coach or the play caller where Auburn has lit Alabama up. They've won games, but they haven't lit up Kirby defenses. So what we're seeing right now, though, from this Georgia defense specifically is that it probably is either the best defense in the country or one of the top 2 or 3. There's not a lot of teams better than this defense. In terms of national rankings, Georgia's number 11 in a third down percentage, allowing only 30% conversion on third downs. They are number 5 in yards allowed, which is only 260 a game. They are number 4 in the country in rushing yards allowed, 75 a game. They are number 2 in the country and points allowed at 10.1, and they are number 1 in the red zone, allowing only 54% of times when teams reach their 20-yard line or inside that the other team scores. Those are ridiculous numbers, and the truth is Georgia just plays differently than other teams. Auburn's not real bad on defense themselves. I mean, they really are a very good defensive team. You saw what they did with LSU, slowing down LSU. No one's really done that besides Auburn. What they did with Florida, a team that's been Jekyll and Hyde on offense. They were a lot of killer yesterday, the Gators, and what they did to Vanderbilt. You can dismiss beating Vanderbilt all you want to, but it's hard to score almost 60 points in a football game, okay? That's tough to do because just so much can happen. But the truth is that this this Auburn offense is not like its defense. It's not dominant. It's not been great, and it's been real rough against ranked teams. So just to talk about this for a second, Auburn scored 30 points or more 3 times this season, and that was against Kent State, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. I'm not sure Kent State's situation. They're not an SEC team. Arkansas is horrible. Mississippi State, I think, is mediocre in the league, not unbelievable. The issue is for Auburn, more than anything, is that they're really struggling with their young quarterback. They've got a true freshman, Bo Nix, had a game-winning play against Oregon, a good team. So Auburn's proven they can win big games for sure. Obviously, the Oregon win, and they totally could beat Georgia. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying. But they've scored 28 points or fewer against Oregon, Tulane, Texas A&M, the Gators, LSU, and Mississippi. A really sloppy game against Mississippi 2 weeks ago in Auburn. So that was a red flag right there. But against ranked foes in particularly, Bo Nix is a combined 51 of 113 for 579 yards with 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he's been sacked 7 times in the 4 games against ranked teams. So not getting it done against the ranked teams' defenses, and that was Oregon, LSU, Georgia, Florida, and someone I'm forgetting off the top of my head that they played who was also ranked. I think Texas A&M may have been ranked at the time. That was actually one of his better performances was against them. So they won some of those games, but the production was not there. That's something that you really need when you're facing a defense as good as Georgia's. And Jake Fromm, the other quarterback in this game, he talked to me and us about production from this Georgia offense. I want to let y'all listen to what Jake had to say last night about Georgia's offense and what he thinks it's capable of doing here in the coming weeks.
I think sooner or later we're gonna break it out, and it's gonna be really fun to watch. And man, I can't wait. I'm holding on to it because when we come in the locker room, everybody knows that we can play better, and that's just. You kind of have that feeling, and you want to play the best you can. And I think sooner or later we're going to break it out, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Well, we're going to see. I mean, it's time. It's go time for sure. If you've not yet seen the reporting on Dawg Post, that's fine. But Lawrence Cager should be back. Kirby Smart told us after the game last night that he could have returned if he wanted to. Same thing goes for all 3 of the centers for Georgia that left the game, as well as Isaiah Wilson, who left the game but walked off. Trey Hill looked like he had a lower leg injury, whatever that was, but he was walking. All the guys walked. Cade Mays really was thrown down very hard. That's how he got hurt. At first it looked like it was a head injury of some sort of maybe a concussion, but when Georgia's folks got out there, it looked like a leg injury as well. So we can't ever know with that stuff. And often, I certainly can't diagnose it with a 600 millimeter lens. But those guys, according to Kirby Smart, will all be back for this game with Auburn. And it's certainly a game where you better be ready to play and be ready to be, physical the entire time. That's what these games are. I mean, that's why Auburn can win the game, is their physicality. The crowd will be on their side. It's a loud place. It's louder than kind of it should be. Considering how many fans are there. It's going to be, obviously it's one of Georgia's 3 rivals. So it's an important game. Number 1, you can wrap up the SEC East. Really, that's the most critical thing in this game, is taking care of business in the SEC East and getting to Atlanta with an opportunity to play in the semifinals. I mean, if Georgia gets to Atlanta with a loss more or just going at 11-1, the door is going to be there to go to the playoff. The question is, if you got 2 losses, how open would it be? And we can't know that because we don't know what the landscape of college football will be at the time. And we just survived a week where the number 3 and 5 teams lost. So you can't know what will happen in this college football landscape. We don't know what's going to happen in the Pac-12. You've got Ohio State and Penn State still have to play one another in the horseshoe here next week, I think that is. So, and Georgia still got to play A&M and Auburn. So this is not done by any stretch, but any combination. I mean, the magic number is 1 right now for Georgia. If the Gators lose in Missouri, it's over. If Georgia wins one more game in the East, it's over. But you want to give yourself the best chance, the best possibility of winning out and taking it from there. And this team just plays so much more differently than everyone else in college football. That's the thing that's so important right now. One other thing I want to talk to you about is we've got an offer right down here on Dawg Post where you can get 2 months of our subscription service online for $1. Now, this is a great service. I would encourage everyone to try us out. We have hundreds of people sign up when we do these things, and there's reasons why. So you're getting tremendous value. Typical subscription to Dawg Post is $15 a month. But right now, right down there, you can sign up at dawgpost.com. I'm going to put the link down there to the story where you can look it up and see the subscription special. But stay tuned. Here, we're going to have a lot of riding home. We appreciate everyone watching these. Go to dawgpost.com. Click that link right down there. We appreciate our huge YouTube audience. And we'll see you next time on Dean Legge Show.